So this morning, welcome back to the third hour of our program, by the way. So this morning, Joe Scarborough went off on this racist rant, screed about how because Joe Biden stopped putting children in cages for months at a time in private prisons and instead is trying to process them into some sort of a system where they can be dealt with humanely. He is, quote, luring people in from South and Central America. That was pretty bizarre. Then there was the story from day before yesterday where CNN did this breathless, oh my God, look at this, people crossing the Rio Grande. And the allegation has been made by a couple of people involved, but I'm not sure that it's been validated, so it may or may not be true, that some of the Customs and Border Patrol folks actually staged that, let these people know that they were going to let them cross at a particular time just to create the photo op that could be used to damage the Biden administration. There's just a lot of weird stuff going on around the Customs and Border Patrol. Trump claimed at one point that he was essentially using them as his own private neo-fascist police force and was bringing some of those folks up to Washington, D.C. and stuff like this. So I wanted to find out what the heck is going on. What is the deal with CBP, with Customs and Border Patrol? And Jenn Budd is a former senior U.S. Border Patrol agent, an intelligence agent turned immigration rights activist, a whistleblower, and a speaker on these issues about Border Patrol and CBP corruption. Jenn has a website over at medium.com. It's Jenn Budd 9, JENNBUDD 9.medium.com. And Jenn's Twitter handle is Budd, B-U-D-D, Jenn, J-E-N-N, which is where I first found her. And Jenn, welcome to the program. I'm so glad to have you on. I've seen a couple video clips of you. What are your thoughts on what's going on down on our southern border right now?
Well, thanks for the invite, Tom. I think that without a doubt, the United States Border Patrol is trying to control the narrative of what's going on. And it's not unusual. They're always doing this, no matter who's in office. But they're kind of mad about the fact that their favorite guy, Trump, lost. And so they are creating a crisis by, it looks like, helping to organize this crossing and then notifying, alt-right contributors to Breitbart to film it. And then possibly trick CNN into filming the exact same smuggler, not the exact same event maybe, but within the same day, it's the same smuggler. It's the same exact area where the crossing happened. And to me, it looks like instead of using their official, press avenues with their press information officers, that they are going around that official channel and using the union, because technically the chief of the Border Patrol, Rodney Scott, has absolutely, no power or authority over the Border Patrol union, and it creates, plausible deniability that he possibly had anything to do with this.
So how is the Border Patrol, how are these CBP officers or agents or as an institution? I know very little about it, my apologies, but how is this different from any other federal police force? We've got the FBI, you've got the Secret Service, you've got ATF, there are other more specialized ones, kind of police branches within the Army and the Air Force and the Navy and the Marine Corps, Coast Guard and whatnot. But what is unique about Customs and Border Protection that produces such a highly politicized, I'm lacking a word here, gestalt, culture, as it were?
It's always been that way. Border Patrol began in 1924 in response to a recession that was occurring, and a lot of white Americans were suffering from the recession, and the politicians back then blamed the Chinese migrants that had been brought over to help build the railroad system that were now no longer needed. And so they created the Border Patrol initially to address what they referred to as the Chinese problem. And just like now that they're doing with Central Americans, they claim that they brought disease and that they stole jobs and that they were dangerous and that they were criminals. So the Border Patrol has always been a political tool used by both Democrats and Republicans. But what we see now in our time is that the Border Patrol has aligned itself mostly with alt-right groups, and they cater mostly to the Republican values and the Republican side of the story. You know, since I was an agent, the apprehensions after 9/11 have steadily, for the most part, decreased. There are a few years here and there where it jumps up slightly, and then it falls back down. But at the same time, as illegal immigration has been decreasing all these years, the number of Border Patrol agents has been increasing. And so the relative numbers of agents to apprehensions is stark compared as to when I was an agent.
Does that account for why there are fewer illegal crossings, because there's more cops there?
No, I think it's, you know, people who have agendas, as far as political agendas, always try to make it one reason. So right now, Republicans are saying the fact that Biden is trying to rebuild the asylum system, because asylum is legal and it is not a criminal act. They're saying, well, that's pulling migrants to want to come here. But the fact of the matter is we always have people who need to seek asylum. We always have people on the other side of our border at any given time trying to come. We have to remember that the last year or two, we've had an entire year of MPP, or the Migrant Protection Protocol, that Trump had enacted, which took people's information when they wanted to claim asylum, but forced them to stay in Mexico. So they have been waiting for a year to have their immigration hearings and have their asylum pleas heard. Then the last year with COVID-19, the Border Patrol enacted Title 42, which I believe they did it in error and are applying it erroneously to justify not even accepting any pleas of asylum, but simply turning them around and pushing them back into Mexico, no matter what country they come from. So we have two groups of people that have been waiting for 1 to 2 years to come in. Then you have the natural process of the agricultural season, which picks up every spring, which is also what we're seeing right now. And then you also have the fact that they were not accepting unaccompanied children, and they had been waiting to come across. And I agree that the unaccompanied children issue is a crisis, but I don't agree that the amount of asylum seekers coming across is a crisis.
So Jen, with apologies, we're going to, in 30 seconds, we're going to hit a hard break here. What should we do about this?
We need to build up our asylum system, hire more asylum officers, and do this in a humane way. We are treating asylum seekers like criminals, and seeking asylum is not a crime. And even where they cross, if they cross the border illegally, it is not to be held against them in a court of law if they are an asylum seeker. So we have to address this in a humanitarian way instead of a law enforcement way.
Right, and sort those out from people who are just looking for a job.